Hey guys, it's Jason with Wired to Fish, and one of the questions that we get asked about a lot is how do I drop shot? It seems a lot more intimidating, I think, to guys than it really is. In essence, it's a hook with a tag in coming off the bottom of the hook and a weight on the bottom. Rather than having your hook on the bottom and the weight above it, you've got the hook up top and the weight down low, on a leader. Basically, as a Carolina rig is to horizontal fishing, a drop shot is to vertical fishing. It gives you a way to suspend a bait up off the bottom and work fish straight up and down. As far as the equipment to drop shot, most people that are accomplished drop shot anglers will tell you it's a spinning rod, light line, finesse approach. It's extremely effective in clear water environments. But basically, the rod and reel that I choose, I've got a 6/8 St. Croix Legend Extreme rod here. It's a great rod for drop shotting, but whatever your favorite rod is here, my recommendation is a tip with a lot of action. You can see this tip here. That's about a 20% bend, and then it goes into the backbone, and that's real critical to how I drop shot. Now you may get different opinions from other folks that are accomplished drop shot anglers, but for the different places I've fished all over the country, Missouri and Arkansas, here in Kentucky, and Florida and out west and things like that, I've just found that tip with a lot of action that goes into the backbone pretty quick gives me a lot more hook sets, and I feel a lot more bites. And the reason that is, you've got 6-pound line, you're fishing out there in 20, 30 feet of water, and you're kind of working the bait. And 9 times out of 10, all the bite's gonna feel like is a little bit extra pressure on the line. And I need that sensitive tip to let me know something's there. So, when I start to feel that tip just bend in, I feel just a little bit of extra pressure in there, I don't wanna drop the rod tip and get a hook set, What I wanna do is that pressure there, because when you do that, your weight's here on the bottom. And so when you drop that slack, that weight has a tendency to pull down, and that sometimes can make a fish release the bait. What I try to do when I feel that little bit of pressure is just keep coming into them with it. So I'll basically, when I feel that pressure and it pulls down, I'm gonna just reel up into them. I'm gonna raise the rod and just reel the reel up into them and kind of just stick them with that constant pressure. And that hooks 99% of the fish for me. Surprisingly, you're using a little number 1 hook. This is a VMC spin shot hook, a little 4-inch worm. That little hook and just that pressure set with the reel, you hook 99% of the fish and they don't come off. You'll be amazed how well these little hooks stick, even big fish. Last year when we were doing this last summer, we were catching 6-pounders on it. So, it's an amazingly effective way to hook fish and keep them hooked. Like we said, 6-pound line, you want a really good drag system. You need it to be really smooth. Making some lunges there at the boat when we're trying to land them. As far as how to fish it, it's really not that complicated. There's a lot of folks that just straight up vertical fish right below the trolling motor, the transducer on the trolling motor, and watch their baits on the screen. Just as effective, and the way we caught a lot of our fish last summer was just making short casts, 20, 30 feet out there where we knew a school of fish was, out in deep water. Throw it out there. When it gets to the bottom, I'm basically just gonna work it with the rod. I'm just gonna slowly drag it along the bottom until I feel something, until I feel a rock, stump, a brush, or something. When I feel like I'm next to something that a fish is gonna relate to, that's when I'm gonna, start working my rod tip and making that bait dance a little bit and let it sink to the bottom and jump it up a little bit. And if I don't get a bite there, then I'm just going to continue to drag it on to the next little piece of cover I feel down there. And that's how I catch a lot of fish. People think that you just throw the drop shot in one spot and hop it around. If you don't get bit, you reel it up and go to the next one. And that's fine. I've caught a lot of fish in places like Table Rock and Beaver Lake, just fishing straight up and down in vertical cover, standing timber, and they're in 100 feet of water and the tops of trees are in 30 feet of water. That's great, and I love to fish that way. It's a blast to look down and see them on your screen, drop your bait down there, watch your weight go down, and then see the fish coming up and attacking it as it's going down. That kind of fishing, that straight up vertical approach, that gets to be more like a cat and mouse game, and you'll find that you'll get the bait down there in the strike zone where you see those fish, and you kind of dance it in front of them. They don't react to it. A lot of times I'll just raise the rod tip up 5, 6, 7 feet, see if I can get a fish to come up and chase it. If that doesn't happen, or if I get one chasing it, then maybe I'll lower it down real quick. And you're almost playing keep away with the bait, and a lot of times that really is an effective way to get them in that vertical cover. But for the most part, I'm gonna shake it, just try to make it dance and swim there until they just can't stand it anymore. As far as hooking the fish, like we said, it's just constant pressure, upswing, good drag. Just smooth equipment is the main thing. You don't want to drag on your reel that's kind of, it just comes out and bursts like that. You don't want that. That's when you're going to lose those fish, when you're fighting them right there at the boat. But as far as baits to fish on a drop shot, there seems to be two schools of thought there. It's usually just a long, skinny, straight tail worm, 4 inches, 6 inches, something of that nature. And then there's also folks that like to fish a shorter profile, a small crawfish. I know, like up on Lake Erie, those goby baits are real popular. Those have a much shorter and thicker profile, but for me, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna have a 4-inch or 6-inch straight tail, skinny worm. This is a Zoom 4-inch worm here. That's real hard to beat on these rigs. It's 1/4 ounce Echo Pro tungsten weight here. You don't need a lot of weight for this. I actually find if the lighter weight you can get by with, that's what I try to use. Obviously, if you're fishing in wind and current and things of that nature, you might have to go up to a little bit heavier weight, but for the most part, that 1/4 ounce weight gets the job done, even in 20 feet of water or more. So that's some tips right there for drop shot, and you can see from the video, it's extremely effective on catching fish. We caught hundreds of bass all summer last year on drop shots. I've been catching them for 20 years, fishing in places like Table Rock and Beaver, and ever since the drop shot first came out, when it came out west, it's been the hot ticket on those real clear fisheries, and just like anything else, it's something to experiment with. Don't just say, well, it's summer and that's why I'm going to fish the drop shot. There's been tons of big catches in the early pre-spawn on drop shots. People catch them in the fall on the drop shot. In the winter. It really is a 4-month out of the year application, so it's definitely something you should add to your arsenal. But get you a good, 6'6", 6'8", medium spinning rod. That flexible tip we talked about, good backbone, smooth drag on your reel, some 6-pound line. We're using 6-pound fluorocarbon here from Seaguar. That's great stuff, and you have added sensitivity. It's invisible to the fish. It gives you a real finesse presentation in that real ultra clear water. Places like Table Rock and Beaver and other fisheries like that, visibility can be 20 feet at times, and so you definitely don't want fish that get to sit there and stare at your bait for 10 minutes to be spooked by your line and things of that nature. So get you a good quality fluorocarbon, light line, good equipment, a handful of different colors of straight tail worms, and go experiment.
The next generation of performance is here. Royal Purple's new high-performance street motor oil, HPS. Fortified with zinc phosphorus anti-wear protection, HPS exceeds the demands of high-performance and modified engines. Magnified, HPS improves metal surfaces for longer engine life. HPS's high film strength frees up more power, reduces heat and wear, plus provides greater protection. The next generation of performance is here with HPS from Royal Purple, the performance oil that outperforms.